Hello and welcome everyone. It's very common to hear English learners mispronouncing ed at the end of verbs. This occurs often because of the misunderstanding of the voicing rules for some. Others sometimes have no idea about it. In this video, we are going to fix that matter so that you can confidently use verbs in your daily conversation. So when you are ready, you can get started. Depending on the nature of the consonant sounds, ed can be pronounced as t, d, or ed. The first group, ed sounds like a t when the infinitive verb ends in a soft consonant or unvoiced consonant sounds, such as f, k, p, s, sh, ch. So when ed sounds like t, for instance, if the infinitive verbs ends in f, like the verb to sniff, so when the ed is added, it's gonna sound sniffed. So sniff, sniffed. Laugh, laughed. Photograph, photographed. Work, when ed is added, it becomes worked. To book, so book becomes booked. The verb to stop, so you're gonna say stopped. Help, when the ed is added, it's gonna be pronounced helped. Yesterday I helped my mother. Like miss. So when the ed is added, it's gonna be pronounced missed. Yesterday I missed your call. Bless, so blessed, blessed. Like the verb to finish, finished. I have finished my homework. The verb to vanish, so vanished. When you have the verb to watch, so yesterday I watched TV, washed. We have the verb to scratch. To scratch, so when the ed is added, it becomes scratched, scratched. So for the first group, when the ed ends in a soft or voiceless consonant, you must sound the ed t, t. The second group is when the ed sounds like a d, d, and that occurs when the infinitive verb ends in a hard consonant or voiced consonant, such as b, g, l, m, n, v, z, and all the vowel sounds. So be it a short vowel, long vowel, diphthongs, and triphthongs. When you have a b, for instance, the verb to rob, so when we add ed, we must pronounce it as robbed, robbed. So somebody robbed a banana at the market. Describe, you're gonna say described. When you have g, like to beg, she begged him yesterday. She begged. You have the verb to tag. So when you add ed, it becomes tagged. The verb to call, called. Yesterday I called my father. We have the verb to peel. So when you add ed, it becomes peeled. Like in sim. So when the ed is added, it's gonna be pronounced simmed. Dream, dreamed. The verb to sin, so sinned, sinned. we have the verb to join. So when we add ed, we gonna pronounce it joined. At the end of the verb to believe, so believed. The verb to love, loved. Like the verb to quiz, so when we add ed, quizzed. The verb to seize, so when we add ed, seized. Now, example of vowel sounds. Like in offer, the last sound is offer, offre, offer. So when we add the ed, it's gonna be pronounced offered, offered. The verb to hire, in hire we have a triphthong, hire. So when you add ed to the verb, it's gonna be pronounced hired, hired. We have the verb to sue, intenter un procès contre quelqu'un, to sue somebody. So when you add the ed, you can say sued, sued. Another vowel sound is the verb to tie. So when we add the ed, so we're gonna pronounce it tied, tied. So when the verb ends in any of the voiced consonant sounds or any of the vowel sounds, so the ed must sound d. The third group is when ed sounds like id, id. That happens when the infinitive verb ends in t, which is a voiceless, or d, which is a voiced consonant sound. So when the infinitive verb ends in t or d, ed must sound like id. We have the verb to suggest, so it becomes suggested, suggested. We have the verb to demand, it becomes demanded, ending in a d. We have the verb to request, so we're gonna pronounce requested, requested. The verb to decide, we cannot pronounce it decided when the ed is added. We have the verb to rest, so rested, rested. Remind, so we're gonna pronounce it reminded, reminded. Now, at this level, I would like to emphasize on something. For American, this ed will sound like it. For British, we say suggested. American, we say suggested. Suggested. Demanded. Demanded. So the ed usually sound like it. It. Alright, that is it for this lesson. I hope you have found it helpful. I'm sure it's going to help you bury some of your mispronunciation. I'm glad to have you as usual, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have not watched the lesson about the voicing, you can click here. Thank you, and bye now.